A very good morning to all of you. Today we shall take up a very beautiful poem, The Pied Piper of Hamelin, written by Robert Browning. Robert Browning was born in 1812. He was an English poet and playwright whose dramatic monologues made him one of the famous poets during the Victorian age. His poems are noted for irony, characterization, dark humor, social commentary, historical setting, and challenging vocabulary along with syntax. The Ring and the Book was one of his well known dramatic narrative poems, and it was based on the proceedings in a murder trial in Rome. Robert Browning published several works. The Pied Piper of Hamelin is one of the lengthiest well-known poem written by him. Before we read the poem from the book, let us know the complete story in it. The Pied Piper legend originated in Hamelin, Germany during the Middle Ages. It was a town that was infested with a lot of rats. The rats ran around everywhere, and so the terrified citizens went to plead to the town councillor, that is to the mayor, to free them from this plague. A young man with golden flute appeared all of a sudden, like a magic, and agreed to get the town rid of rat in exchange of 1,000 euros. The mayor happily agreed, and the Pied Piper fulfilled his promise. But the mayor refused to pay him the money that he had promised. This made the Pied Piper very angry. He started to play the flute again, and this time all the children started to follow him. The Pied Piper of Hamelin took the children away into a dark cave, from where they were never seen again. The poem that we have in our book is an extract from the poem The Pied Piper of Hamelin, written by Robert Browning. Let us now do the poem. Hamelin Towns in Brunswick, by famous Hanover City. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty? Almost 500 years ago. To see the townfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Robert Browning describes the beautiful city of Hamelin in Brunswick, situated near Hanover. The famous river Weser flowed on its southern side. The complete view of the city was so pleasant that it would captivate the attention of any stranger. Robert Browning says that his song is not about the beauty of the city, but about an incident which occurred 500 years ago. He further moves on and describes that the people of the city suffered from a plague at that time, which was a matter of great concern. Rats. They fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheese out of the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladle, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nest inside men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chat by drowning their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different shops and flats. The poet narrates that the people of the city suffered from the plague of rats that overflooded the city. They were so large in number that they fought with dogs and scared the cats away. The people were terrified of these rats, as they bit their babies in their cradles. They even ate cheese from large containers and licked the soup from the ladle of the cook. They were so huge that they could open the wooden lids of barrels and even taste the salted fish. They did not fear from any human being and made their nest in the hats worn by men on Sunday. They even spoiled the chats of women by jumping on them and making shrieking and squeaking sounds in the same tone. Thus, the people of Hamlin were terrified of these rats. When the people of the town approached the mayor, he found himself helpless. At that moment, a pied piper came to rescue the town of Hamlin. Robert Browning describes the same in this stanza. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Then, like a musical apt to blow the pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And three shrill notes the pipe uttered. In these lines, Robert Browning describes the Pied Piper who acted as a savior for the people of Hamlin. The Pied Piper stepped into the street with a smile on his face, as if he knew the solution to their problems. He also seemed to know the magic that slept in his flute. Then, like a great musician, he picked up his pipe to play those magical notes. The twinkling shine in his green blue eyes was similar to the sparkles created by sprinkling salt on the burning candle. Then, all at once, he stepped into the street and blew three magical notes on his pipe. As soon as the pipe piper stepped into the street and blew his three magical notes, Robert Browning describes the sound that he heard. He says, "You heard as if an army muttered, and the muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling. And out of the houses the rats came tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, twanny rats, grey old poddlers, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the piper for their lives." As soon as the Pied Piper started to blow his magical pipe, rats came out from different corners of the town. They were so many in number that their voices seemed to be the voices of an army muttering, which gradually changed into grumbling and eventually into mighty rumbling. The magical notes of the pipe were so enchanting that the rats tumbled out of the houses on their own. The poet further describes the variety of rats that followed the Pied Piper. They were big rats, small rats, skinny rats, and muscular rats. The poet is even more astonished to see the different colors of these rats: brown, black, grey, and orangish brown. Not only the size and color, but rats of all ages followed the Pied Piper. Rats that were fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, husbands, and wives, all followed the piper, raising their tails and here expressing their happiness. The Pied Piper led these dancing rats from the streets of Hamelin to River Weser. All these rats happily jumped into the river and soon died. Thus, the Pied Piper saved the city of Hamelin from the dreaded rats. Children, I hope you have understood the poem well as mentioned in your text. To have a better understanding, you must read the complete poem and understand the story in it. For the same, I shall be sharing a link with you. Thank you and have a nice day.